In Bridgewater, Texas, 23-year-old Lauren Hayes had just started her career as a second-grade teacher. It was the job she had worked toward for 4 years, but a $28,000 salary didn't go far. To pay down her student loans, she lived in her childhood bedroom and worked most nights waitressing at a roadside diner on Main Street. On New Year's Eve in 2000, while the rest of the world waited for the clocks to strike midnight, Lauren was finishing a tam shat. That evening, a regular customer she didn't know, a man who always ordered coffee and pie, had made her uncomfortable. When she set down his plate, his hand had brushed hers in a way that felt deliberate. She told her coworkers she felt her skin crawl, but the man left before her shift ended, leaving exact change on the counter. At 10 p.m., Lauren began the mile-long walk home. Turning off the well-lit Main Street onto residential Oak Street, she heard footsteps. A figure in a dark jacket was walking behind her. She sped up. The footsteps matched her pace. She turned onto Elm, then Maple, her heart beating harder as the figure stayed exactly 20 feet behind her. She reached Cedar Lane, just 2 blocks from home. She could see the porch light her mother always left on. She was just 30 seconds from safety when a hand grabbed her arm and another covered her mouth. She was pulled backward into the dark space between 2 houses, her purse falling to the pavement as she fought to scream. In a small town where everyone knew everyone's business, a lifetime of routine was shattered in less than a minute. When the clock finally struck 12, Lauren's parents were wearing party hats and holding sparkling cider, waiting for a daughter who would not arrive for another 15 years. As fireworks went off across Bridgewater, Margaret Hayes felt a sharp stab of worry. By 12:15, her husband Tom was walking the block, calling Lauren's name into the dark. Tom had spent 25 years with the Bridgewater Police Department. When he found Lauren's purse on the sidewalk 3 houses down, his training took over. He didn't touch the scattered contents. He simply stood there, securing the scene while his former colleagues arrived with flashlights. By morning, Special Agent Catherine Ross had arrived from the FBI's Austin field office. Lauren's face was on every TV screen in Texas. They pulled grainy black and white footage from the diner, showing a man in a baseball cap, but the description was too generic. Despite the massive federal response and hundreds of tips, the man was never identified. Tom knew the statistics better than anyone. If a missing person isn't found in the first 48 hours, the chances of a recovery drop to nearly 0. After the first week, the media attention shifted, and the active rescue operation began to settle into the silence of a cold case. As the years passed, the daily updates from the police became weekly, then monthly, then stopped altogether. The world moved on, but the Hayes family remained trapped in the first week of 2001. Margaret spent her Sundays driving to every gas station within 100 miles. She posted flyers featuring age-progressed photos, guesses of what Lauren might look like at 28, then 30, then 33. Most people took the flyers politely and threw them away as soon as she left. Tom processed the loss differently. He grew quieter, withdrawing into himself and spending his days at the kitchen table, avoiding conversations about the daughter they had lost. He had seen too many cases go unsolved to believe in a miracle. Inside the house, Lauren's room became a shrine. Her bed was still unmade from that New Year's Eve morning, and her teaching materials remained scattered on her desk. Margaret dusted the furniture once a month, keeping the space ready as if Lauren might walk through the door at any moment. A decade went by, marked only by birthdays Lauren wasn't there to celebrate, and New Year's anniversaries that Margaret spent in bed, unable to bear the sound of fireworks. This was the weight of ambiguous loss. The YouTube algorithm recommended a channel called Fragments. It featured audio journals of a woman with amnesia, talking about her struggle to remember anything before 2001. Margaret listened as the faceless voice described dreams of a yellow house and the feeling of chalk dust on her fingers. The woman spoke with a specific Texas drawl that Margaret recognized in her bones. She called Tom into the room, insisting that the woman on the screen was their daughter. They hired a private investigator who traced the channel to a woman in Dallas named Rachel Morrison. Rachel had appeared in the system as a Jane Doe on January 3, 2001, 3 days after Lauren vanished. She had been found unconscious at a hospital entrance 300 miles away from Bridgewater, with no ID and a severe headed life as a bookkeeper, entirely unaware that a family in Bridgewater was still printing flyers with her face on them. The federal investigation had failed, but a mother's ear for her daughter's voice eventually found the one lead the police had missed. That Saturday, they met Rachel at a Dallas coffee shop. She looked at the photos of a young teacher from 2000 and said the face looked familiar, but she didn't remember being that person. 3 days later, a DNA test confirmed the truth. Rachel Morrison was Lauren Hings. The miracle was grounded in a brutal physiological reality. Neurologists explained that the head trauma Lauren suffered had destroyed the neural pathways that stored her long-term memory. She could learn the facts of her childhood, but she would never actually feel the emotions of those memories again. Agent Catherine Ross returned to the case to investigate how Lauren ended up in Dallas. The FBI's theory was that her abductor likely crashed his vehicle while fleeing. Lauren's specific injuries, a fractured skull and massive brain swelling, were consistent with a high-speed car accident, leading investigators to believe the man panicked and left her at the emergency room to save himself from a kidnapping charge. Margaret and Tom had found their daughter, but she was a woman who didn't recognize her own bedroom or the parents who had spent 15 years searching for her. She was a stranger who shared their DNA. The man from the diner was never caught. There was no physical evidence left in the car or at the hospital, and justice remained out of reach for the person who stole Lauren's life. Today, Lauren continues to live in Dallas as Rachel, but every month she travels to the yellow house on Cedar Lane to have dinner with Margaret and Tom. She listens to their stories, learning about a girl named Lauren Hayes as if she were a character in a book. The investigation is cold, and the memories are gone forever. But on New Year's Eve, the porch light on Cedar Lane is no longer a signal for a daughter who hasn't arrived. It is a light for a family that found a way to begin again.